Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I hope all of you guys are safe and constantly sticking to gate. Okay. So in today's video we will be learning about CPM part. This is class 1 of this CPM and part session. Okay, so let's start. So what is CPM and part? See, in construction management, okay, construction management, there are few techniques through which you can estimate the time, cost required for completion of a project, okay, and resources. Time, cost and resources required for completion of a project. So CPM and PERT are two of those techniques which is used in construction management to calculate this time and cost, etc. Okay, so there is another one which is Gantt chart. We will discuss this later. Okay, so let's start. So CPM, which stands for critical path method, is a technique which is used in projects where the time needed for completion of a project is already known. So for example, you are constructing a duplex house, okay, constructing a house for which the time which is required is 6 months, okay. So you already know the deadline, okay. So in such projects you can estimate the total time of each activity which will be taken to complete this entire project, okay. So it is critical path method, right. It is majorly used for determining the time which a project can be completed. Critical path. So in a project network diagram there is a term known as critical path. So this critical path will provide the maximum time which will be taken for completion of a project, okay. So we will see this critical path when we learn to draw network diagram and see few more terms, okay. So CPM, that is critical path method, and then there is PERT, that is project evaluation and review technique. So PERT is appropriate technique which is used in projects where time required or needed to complete different activities are not known, okay. In this it is not known. For example, you are doing a research, okay, doing some research regarding anything, so you will not be able to say when this research will be completed, right. So in such cases PERT technique is used. So PERT is majorly applied for scheduling, organization and integration of different tasks within a project. Through PERT technique you can interrelate the activities in a project, okay. You can just interrelate them, schedule them. So this final time will not be known in PERT, but in critical path method your final completion time will be known, okay. So that's the major difference between CPM and PERT. So here planning, the definition of planning is objectives of the project and lining the task. So you will be lining the task, how a project should be executed, okay. Then comes scheduling, so arranging the task in order and allocating the resources. So you will be arranging the task in specific order, which should be completed first and which should be completed next, and from that you can schedule the project. And the third comes controlling, where you can calculate the actual time that will be required for completing a particular activity and the resources that are required. So this is the introduction to CPM and PERT, okay. So let's see the major differences between CPM and PERT. So the left hand side has CPM, right hand side has PERT. So CPM indicates has a certain start and end times for a project. As we saw, you will know the time required, okay. And in PERT it is applicable when the time required to finish a project is not certain. In this, start and end times are known, and in this the end time is not known. So CPM is more like a deterministic model, okay. So where you can do it with a determination that you will finish this within that time, while PERT is like a probabilistic model. You don't know when it will be finished, right. And the third point is CPM mainly puts an emphasis on project time and cost cutting, while PERT puts an emphasis on reducing project time. Like for example, you doing a research for a vaccine for coronavirus. So what you will be doing is your main aim will be reducing project time, right? While CPM is not like that. CPM is for cost cutting, mainly for cost cutting. Okay, since you know the project will be completed. For example, you are constructing a house, duplex house. Okay, you will know it will be finished in 6 months, right? So you will focus more on cost cutting rather than the project time. Okay. So the fourth point is CPM is more activity oriented while PERT is event oriented. So CPM has no chance of crashing. The project cannot be crashed, while PERT has lot of chances of crashing. Okay, and CPM is suitable for it's suitable for construction projects, while PERT is suitable for research process. I just interchanged it. So CPM is suitable for construction projects, okay, and PERT is suitable for research projects. So this is the basic difference between CPM and PERT. Okay, so up till now we saw basic definition for CPM and PERT. We saw what is planning, scheduling, controlling. Then we saw difference between CPM and PERT, right? So we will learn some common terms which are associated with the project network diagram. Okay, so first is an activity. It indicates the actual task which is to be carried out in a project. Like for example, you are building that duplex house. So first you will do is level the site, and then you will put on some foundation. So each is considered as an activity. Like leveling the site is an activity, putting on the foundation is an activity. So activity is the actual task which is carried out in a project, right? So next comes event. Event indicates the specific instance of time which marks the start and end of each activity. So at a particular time you are starting to level the site, okay, and then you have finished to level the site. So event is just an instance of time which indicates the start and end. It is not an actual activity, but it is just an indication. Okay, so remember the difference between activity and event. Okay, and then comes the predecessor activity and successor activity. So for example, now consider this as ground line. Okay, you are putting on some footing here, foundation or footing, whatever. Then you are constructing the plinth. Okay, then you are constructing the walls, right? So first you have done this, second you have put on the plinth, third you have done the walls. So consider this plinth. Okay, so plinth's predecessor activity is putting on the foundation, which means which comes before, and the plinth's successor activity is the construction of walls. Okay, so predecessor is the activity which comes before, and successor is the activity which comes after the current activity. Okay, so that's the meaning for predecessor and successor activity. And then comes a dummy activity. So you can introduce a dummy activity in a project network diagram. It is an activity which does not consume any time and resources. It's just for namesake. Okay, just to make the project network diagram more sensible. Okay, so an activity is denoted by arrow. Okay, arrow mostly flows from left to right. The direction of the arrow is left to right. Okay, so the node or an event is denoted from a circle, and dummy activity is denoted by dotted arrow. Okay, so as I told you, event marks the time instance of beginning or ending of an activity. Okay, so here tail event. So what tail event describes is beginning of an activity. Okay, and head event describes the completion of an activity. So tail marks the beginning and head marks the completion. Don't get confused now. It's try to make something and try to remember this. So tail marks the beginning, head marks the completion of an activity, right? So this is how a single activity is denoted in a network diagram. So there will be an arrow going from left to right, it will have a start node and an end node. So start node is the beginning, that is the tail event, and end node is the completion, that is the head event. Okay, event or node is the same, which is denoted by circle, and an activity's name is written on top of the arrow and its duration is written on the and below the arrow. Okay, so for example 3 days, 2 days, whatever it is, it will be written in bracket. So this is how a single activity is represented in a project network diagram. It will have a tail event and it will have an head event. Okay, and now there are some types, that is burst and merge. Okay, so we'll see this in examples. See, burst is after completing one activity you can start multiple activities simultaneously. Okay, while merge is all the 3 finishing activities lead to a single completion of an activity. You will understand it better when we solve problems. Okay, this burst and merge. So before drawing a project network diagram, you should understand some common conventions. Okay, so the first one is there are 3 activities. Okay, so in this first representation, the first activity is A. After the completion of A, B will start. After the completion of B, C will start. So B's predecessor is A and B's successor is C. Okay, that's how predecessor and successor are denoted. Okay, so similarly in this second example there are 2 activities. Okay, so for the activity C to start, A and B both must be finished. Okay, then only activity C can be started. So in this A, first you have to finish A, then you have to finish B, then you have to finish C, and in this A and B both must be finished in order to start C, right? So now look at this one. After the completion of activity A, B and C can be simultaneously started, right? So these are all the examples. Okay, you will understand it only while you are solving the problems. So just remember this. Remember the meaning of this arrow, like A and B will be finished, then only you can start C. While here A should be finished first, then B and C can start simultaneously. So in this case, this is a merge and this is burst. Okay, so it's pretty easy, it's not a big deal. And this is the fourth example. Okay, so now activity A takes place, activity B takes place, activity C can be started after the completion of A. Okay, after the completion of A, activity C can be started, but for activity D to start, A and B both must be completed, because the arrow of here, it's a dummy activity. Okay, this dotted line indicates dummy activity. So C can start after completion of A, but D can only start after the completion of A and B both, right? So this is the basic meaning of all the 4. So I hope you understood this. Okay, so now let's look at some basic rules through which you can draw a project network diagram. Okay, so the first rule is, I have written only the basic 5 rules. Okay, there are many more, but I don't guess it's required for drawing a project network. You will understand it from question only and by solving more problems. So just try to remember these 5. Okay, so for a project network diagram, there will only be one start node and one end node. For example, in this you saw 4, there is one end node. Okay, and there will be one start node. Okay, so a project network diagram will consider only one start and one end node. Okay, there cannot be multiple end nodes and there cannot be multiple start nodes. Okay, there will be only one. The second is, time flow should be from left to right. So arrow should be from left to right. The length of the arrow makes no significance. Okay, you can draw small arrow or big arrow, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so no event can occur twice. The third rule is no event can occur twice. So an event can occur only once. Okay. The fourth point is no activity can start until tail event has occurred. So for example like this, okay, activity B. So activity B can only start after the completion of A. So tail is the start and head is the end, right? So once activity A completes, then only B can start. And the fifth rule is Fulkerson's rule for numbering. Okay, so a project network diagram should always start with 1 and should end with the highest number possible. For example, this node will be 2, 3, this will be 4, 5, and this will be 6. So a project network diagram should start only with 1, okay, and end with the end according to the question. Okay, in question there might be many activities given or less number of activities, so the end node's number depends on the question, but the start should always be 1. Okay, so these are the basic rules for drawing a project network diagram, right? And now there are two types of diagram. Okay, so first is activity on arrow denoted by AOA and activity on node denoted by AON. Okay, so in this it's nothing but activity are represented on arrows and nodes are representing start and end points. So above the arrow, okay, these activities will be represented above the arrow, and nodes is just the start and end point. So this is start, this is end, right? So this is activity on arrow. While on activity on node, each activity as a node and arrow shows the predecessor activity. So for example, in this, the node represents the activities, like A is in this node, B is in this node. Okay, so that's the difference. In this you are representing above the arrow, and this in representing in the node. Okay, so the major difference is, we'll talk the difference. Okay, so now in this, A and B should be completed for C to start. Okay, similarly A and B should be completed for C to start. So remember this, it is represented on arrows, and this it is represented on nodes. So that's AOA and AON. Okay, and now in this you will understand the major difference. So here we have activity A, B, C, D. So for C to start, A and B both must be completed, right? And for D to start, only B needs to be completed. So for C to start, A and B both must be completed, as you can see this flow. Okay, but for D to start, only B is enough. Okay, if the B is completed, you can start D, right? So this is activity on arrow, where you have this dummy activity. And now in this activity on node, okay, so A and B both have to start for C to begin, but D can begin after B is completed. So here no dummy activity is required. Okay, so in activity on node, dummy activity is not required, while in activity on arrow you might require dummy activity in a project network diagram. Okay, so that's the major difference between AOA and AON. Okay, so now let's see a very basic example. Okay, very basic example, it's a simple example. Let's draw one diagram. This is just an example. Okay, so here I have list of activities. There is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. They can be any activities depending on a project. And then there are predecessors given for this activity. So for A, B there are no predecessors. For C it is A, for D it is A and B, E ka C, F ka C, G ka hai D and E, H ka is F, G. So the questions will be given like this. Okay, in GATE we cannot tell how the questions will be given. Sometimes they can give this chart, or they can directly give you the project network diagram. Okay, but for understanding the complete concept of CPM pod, you should learn how to draw the project network diagram. So I always prefer drawing AOA, that is activity on arrow. Okay, so for this example, let's see how to draw both. So rule number 1 states that there will be just one start node and one end node. So I number this as first the start node. So A and B have no predecessors, which means A and B both are starting activities, right? So there will be A and there will be B. Okay. Then comes C. जिसका predecessor is A. So C will come from A. Okay. So C will come from A, right? I hope you are understanding. Stick with me. Okay. But D will begin only if A and B are completed. See, D will begin only if A and B are completed. So what you have to do? You have to introduce a dummy activity, and then you can draw D, activity D, right? So D will begin only if A and B are completed, but C will begin after A is completed. Okay, so predecessor is like this. So E and F comes from C. Okay, for now E comes from C and F comes from C. Okay, G comes from D, E. Read this, see this. G can only start when D and E are completed. Now E is in one direction, D is in one direction. So what you have to do? Yeah, you are right. So E will come like this. Okay. So now E has come. There is F in balance. Okay. So G will come from D and E. Right. So this F is coming from C, as you can see here. F is coming from C, G is coming from DE, and H is coming from where F and G are meeting. Okay, so G is coming from D and E, and H starts where F and G are meeting, right? Okay, so this is an actual project network diagram. I hope you understood how to draw it. So then start numbering the nodes 1, 2, 3. Then comes Seeker node 4, 5. This will be 6 and this will be 7. So see, a project network diagram has only one start node, one end node. Arrows are from left to right. There is an dummy activity introduced. So remember, when you see the predecessors column, okay, so D, E, F, G, A, B, where all the alphabets are, there are two predecessors, which means these two events are meeting at a node. See, for example, F and G are meeting at a node. D and E are meeting at a particular node. A and B are meeting, but through a dummy activity, right? So now, for cross verifying if your project network diagram is right, so let's see. A has no predecessor, B has no predecessor, C comes from A, C comes from A, D comes from A and B, D is coming from A and B, okay, E comes from C, F comes from C, so E is coming from C, F is coming from C, so G is coming from D and E, so D and E where it is meeting, so G will be starting through that node, okay. And H is coming where F and G are meeting. So if there are multiple predecessors, consider they are meeting at a particular node. Okay, so they will be meeting. Okay, so this is activity on arrow. Okay, now let's see how to draw activity on node for the same example. I guess this space is enough. Okay, so I told you that each project network diagram will have one start node and one end node. In activity on node, there will be S, which will be indicating the start node. Okay, so this is the start node. It's looking like 3. Okay, now it's better. It says it is start node. Okay, so A and B have no predecessors, right? So what you will do, this will be A and this will be B. Okay, you will be representing at the node. Okay, now C will come from A, right? So there will be C starting from A, and A and B both have to be completed for D. Okay, so for D to be completed, B and A both have to be completed, right? Correct? Am I right? Okay, so then E comes from C, F comes from C. I'll just maximize my space. So E comes from C and F comes from C. Okay, but D and E are close together. Okay, so all you have to do this, take E in center, right? E is coming from C. Okay, it's looking like F only. E is coming from C. Also F is coming from C, right? F is coming from C. I know the C is here, so arrow should be like this. Okay, but when D and E both are completed, then you can start G, right? Here it will be G, and when F and G both are completed, you can start H, right? So when F and G both are completed, you can start H. So this is the end node. So this is how activity on arrows and activity on node are drawn. Okay. So S is the start. A and B are two independent which has no predecessors. C will start after A is completed. A and B both has to be finished for D. Okay. E and F are coming from C. Okay, but D and E both has to be completed for G, right? So D and E can only lead to C. Okay, and for G to start, there should be D and E, and for H to start, F and G both must be completed, right? So F and G both are leading to H, that is the end activity. Okay. No, this arrow will not be like this. Yeah, this will be like this. Okay, so then this is the end activity. So I guess you might have understood the basics. Don't worry, it's just the start. Okay, you will understand it better when we solve more and more examples. There are plenty of examples. There are literally like 40-50s of examples which we will be solving. Okay. So let's just have a quick revision of today's class. We saw CPM part, we saw what it is used for, okay, and then we saw the difference between CPM and PERT. The main is deterministic and probabilistic, which is asked plenty of times, not only in GATE but also in all the government exams. They are asking this: CPM is deterministic, PERT is probabilistic. Okay, and then we saw activity, that is actual task, event, that is just a start or end, and a predecessor and successor. Okay, then we saw activity, node, dummy activity. We saw tail is the beginning, head is the completion. Okay, and here duration is marked up. Here duration is marked, and then we have some common understandings. Pause this video right now. You can pause it anytime, just try to understand it better. Okay, so don't be in a hurry to just finish off the video. It's better to understand in one go. Okay, so then we saw some rules: one start, one end node, left to right arrow, no event can occur twice, an activity can start only when the predecessor activity is completed. Okay, and then there is Fulkerson's rule for numbering that we saw in numbering. One, it should always start from one. So then we saw AON in it is placed above arrows, and this it is placed in nodes. Okay, So AOA you require a dummy activity in some cases, not in all cases. It depends on the question. And in AON you do not require any dummy activity. Then we saw this example, okay. So where there are multiple predecessors, consider that they are meeting at a node, okay. So AOA and then comes AON, okay. So I guess you understood this class. I hope so. And in future classes we will be definitely practicing lot of examples. Okay, so thank you for watching this video till end. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and stay safe. Keep on practicing. Okay, don't give up. There's still plenty of time. Even those who have not started studying, absolutely they are at zero. There's nothing to worry. You can still start and get definitely a good rank. Okay, so thanks for watching. Bye, take care.